Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center. I'm back and it's time for my favorite part of the week, and maybe yours too. Got the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves right here in front of me. We're going to start off this week with some automatics. We have seen, you may have seen, the Hogue Counterstrike before, but these new SIG versions of the Counterstrike mix things up a little bit. Primarily, well, the big difference here, the front scale here, the front part of the handle is now injection molded, an injection molded piece with some pretty aggressive texturing right there. Interestingly, I was doing some kind of like comparisons here, and a lot of times manufacturers will use, or the advantage of using an injection molded piece or injection molded materials in their builds are, or is, are.
You didn't go anywhere.
Lower weight. The knife we think of as sort of the paragon or the poster child for a lightweight OTF would be the Benchmade Shootout. That knife comes in like 2.75 or 2.8 ounces. This knife actually comes in like, it squeaks in just a little bit less, 2.68 ounces for these knives. What do you give up though for that slightly lower weight? Well, the blade is a little bit shorter. Instead of 3.5 on the Shootout, we've got 3.35 here. We do have two blade shapes, a spear point and the tanto, as you can see right here. 20 CV steel here, so really good edge retention. The other thing, you give up a little bit of length and you give up sort of like girth too. This is a slimmer, shorter knife than the Shootout is. I'd argue that it still is a standard sized OTF. It doesn't feel small. The advantage you get for those things you give up, you do get a aluminum main chassis right here. So you've got more of a feeling of rigidity than you might get out of something like the Shootout. Now, would you rather have more handle and more blade, or the more solid feel, slightly more compact dimensions here? That's up to you. Neither one is wrong. This one is nice and slim. It's going to carry easily in the pocket for sure. Just doesn't take up, or it's not a huge commitment to incorporate that into your loadout. Three colors, black, gray, and khaki, or what are they calling this actually here? Should use the actual words, FDE, so flat dark earth. I'd argue it's more of a coyote tan or something like that, but anyway, splitting hairs. You get those three colors. Each of those colors can be had with either of these black-coated 20 CV blades right here. Geometry is fairly thin. Actually, that's another contrast we can throw compared to the Shootout. The blade stock is not quite as thin as on the Shootout there. Action, very, very nice indeed. We've got a reversible pocket clip here. I would say that it's deep carry, but you do technically have this glass breaker protruding out the back, and that's acting as the fastener in this case as well. So that will be sticking up. But yeah, really cool. Prices on these, should mention that, eh? About $270 for them. Let's see how that compares actually to the standard Hogue versions of this. If I were prepared, I would have had that information ready to go. I had all my other comparisons ready to go.
Sure you did.
About $279 for the Hogue versions with G10 front handles instead of the injection molded. So not really a huge price difference between the two, more or less 10 bucks. But there you go. So we spent some time comparing those first knives to another product on the market. We're kind of going to have to do the same thing with this. This is the Gerber Stakeout. And what you have here is a camping-oriented pliers-based multi-tool, and you can sort of think of it as a budget alternative to the Leatherman Signal. At least it seems like it's aimed at the same type of user as Leatherman aims for with the Signal. Now, it's not quite as nicely made, and you're not going to get as many implements, although it does have something the Signal does not, but it is half the cost of a Signal. This is just under $70 compared to $140 on the US made Signal. This is not US made if you were wondering. You do have the standard combination, plier head, the standard type of archetype for these pliers-based multi-tools. You've got needle nose, nut gripping sections, and wire cutters as well. Accessible from the outside, there's this alternating color piece right here. There are a couple colors of this tool available, I should mention, colorways. Give that a good yank. You've got a ferro rod right there. Scraper, I'll get to that in a minute. Close it up and you'll be able to get to the rest of the implements. Well, we have a carabiner here at the back that also functions as a bottle opener.
There you go.
That's the word. Much like the Leatherman Signal, also has that feature. As far as the outside implements, we have two main ones right here, two primary ones. You have a stainless steel blade, and it is listed as just stainless steel. Sorry, I can't be more specific than that. And you have this small saw. Now, the length on the blades are not particularly large. It's about 2.4 right here. And the geometry is pretty robust. But this is the cool thing that you're not going to see on something like the Signal, or indeed the vast majority of multi-tools out there. In fact, I can't think of another one that does this. You've actually got a Scandi grind on this blade, which is very, very nice for carving wood. And if you're using this in sort of a camping type scenario, which I mentioned, this is aimed at the same target market as the Signal. I should have mentioned what that was. This is an outdoors camping style multi-tool. Scandi grinds are so, so good at carving wood, which is really, really nice. And that's actually something where the Signal kind of fails in comparison to this. You've got a partially serrated blade on the Signal. Not so good for wood carving. So that's pretty cool. Yes, it's just listed as stainless steel. I wish we had a better spec there, but a Scandi grind is, of course, very easy to maintain because you just lay the bevel flat on your stone right there. It comes right down to that sharpened edge. There's no secondary bevel, so it should be fairly easy to maintain. As for the saw, again, same kind of length. Looks effective enough. Haven't tested it, obviously. This is a piece of inventory. And on the back edge here, you've got a scraper, and that's what's going to allow you to scrape the fire steel to scrape scrapings, make sparks there. And this sort of makes up for the lack of an awl that you would get on the Signal a little bit, at least for scraping type stuff. You're not going to get a bit driver like the Signal. You're not going to get a can opener either. You are going to get this pocket clip, and that actually makes it a little more difficult to disengage the liner lock on either of those, or that particular one, but both are locking. And the namesake for this implement, the thing, or this tool, the implement that gives it its name, the stake puller right here, the stake out. If you've ever kind of pounded a stake too far into the ground and it's difficult to get out, this could be very handy. Hook it under the hook or hook it under the line right there, and you can pull it out pretty easily. There you go. It's also, if you ever thought like a Victorinox parcel hook was too small, there you go. I got this. Fairly compelling, I'd say, for $70. The Scandi grind especially is just a really cool feature, and I think sets it apart for sure from other multi-tools out there, especially if you're an outdoorsy sort of folk. Next up, let's get to some lightweight injection molded stuff. That's well, keep it going here. The 3.1 ounce weighing Native Chief Lightweight Salt from Spyderco. You've got a 4.02 inch blade with that low, virtually 3-inch weight right here. Price on this, $169, just under that for this US made knife. LC200N steel, which is incredibly tough and incredibly stain resistant. Works really well in harder use applications. Now, the tip on this knife, you do have a more delicate tip here, so this might not be a hard use type of knife due to the thinness out there, but the toughness of that steel is going to make that less fragile than you might think, which is a nice thing. And the slicing geometry with the full flat grind on this is going to be quite nice too. There's enough handle there for a very full grip, even without using Spyderco's guarded finger choil right there. If I were wearing a pair of gloves, I would still have plenty of space on this main section, I would say, but the ability to choke up there and be protected from the edge while you do it is pretty nice too. 4-position pocket clip, so you can carry it whichever way you want. Plenty of texture, thanks to that bidirectional texturing on the FRN mid-mounted lockback. The green color here is very visible even in low light underwater conditions, which is very nice, which given the salt kind of mission of this knife. If you're unfamiliar with Spyderco's Salt series, it's designed to be like the perfect maritime series of knives in that nothing on this, you're going to have to worry about it rusting, which is quite nice. And if you're diving or boating with this and you drop it into murky water, the extra visibility there could be quite nice. But whether you're using it outdoors or just any other kind of larger EDC work with where you would appreciate sliciness with the blade length, the Native Chief is a great choice, no matter which version you pick. But this one's the salty version.
We need to be salty.
Well, you know, we got a salty version of the Para 3 to take a look at too. The full serrated version of the Para 3 Salt Lightweight coming in $148.50 right now. Instead of the LC200N, you've got MagnaCut steel here, which is also highly stain resistant, highly tough, and should hold an edge even better than the LC200N. And also, the serrations here are going to add and basically make it even longer lasting, essentially. If you think about it, you're multiplying or magnifying the amount of sharpened edge you have on this given length by these extra little teeth right there. And it's going to cut pretty aggressively too, especially fiber stuff like rope, webbing, especially in a boating or maritime environment. Serrations can come in very handy, especially in a pinch when real quick cutting is needed. The yellow is also highly reflective here, or highly visible, I should say, in low light underwater conditions. I think the green tends to take the cake a little bit more by a few degrees at least, but either of these colors, again, designed for that same kind of purpose right there. 2-position wire pocket clip for tip up carry and fairly deep carry, although you do have this big bright yellow handle to kind of offset that a little bit. And Spyderco's compression lock right there. You've got that finger safe closing action in addition to the ability to flick it open when you want. Weight on this knife is 2.4 ounces for a roughly 3-inch blade in this case. 3.5 finger grip for me. That's kind of classic standard Para 3 personality. But if I want a full grip, I'm using that guarded finger choil right there and getting the job done. Got some colorful knives. I like colorful knives. So let's keep looking at some more colorful knives. 2 new versions of the Bel Air, a blue anodized aluminum and red anodized aluminum with the same standard MagnaCut blade steel. And we're getting to the point where there's enough Bel Airs out there that I probably wouldn't have shown these in this particular video of new knives of the week, except for one detail. These are actually slightly cheaper than the standard base Malibu Bel Air is today.
Different part of town.
Different part of town. You know, the Bel Air launched last year at $149.95. These guys right here, these 2 are $143.95. So you can save yourself about what's that, $6? It's not a dramatic savings, but it's noteworthy that they've gotten less expensive over time. Nothing that doesn't happen with knives, generally speaking. Not without like materials downgrades. And I'm not sure why they're less expensive, actually. Maybe it's the particular type of anodization they're using on these handles. I genuinely couldn't tell you. They feel fine. Maybe I may be reaching for an explanation here. These might be slightly more slick than some of the other anos that they've done. Doesn't feel quite as chalky, and I say chalky in a good way. You know, that chalkiness adds a little bit of extra grip and texture. So maybe the anodization's not quite as quote-unquote good. I'm guessing here, folks. I mean, this is the Bel Air. It's a modern classic from Kershaw and a runaway hit. It's a great knife. $143.95, made in the USA, MagnaCut steel, very, very thin blade stock. It's probably, it's one of, if not the thinnest blade stock you can get on like a fully modern folder like this nowadays. There might be something that's a tiny bit thinner than this, but it don't get much thinner than this, basically. 3.1 inches, modified Warncliffe shape, very thin with a full flat grind. It's slicey, it's precise, it's a great manageable size, yet still big enough to get real work done. Means it works for a broad swath of users out there. Just, enough handle length there for full grips when you need it, but it's not getting in its own way, and it's not taking up too much room in the pocket when you go to carry it either. Ambidextrous crossbar lock, reversible, very deep carry pocket clip. Great price for materials and quality you're getting right here on this US made knife. I don't know what else to say. If you don't know why the Bel Air is cool, check it out.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I don't know why they're less expensive, because it's still the Bel Air, and you still get the great MagnaCut steel on it too. Check it out if you want to. If that, however, is still outside of your budget, how about you can almost think of this next knife, this new CJRB Lyrid, as almost a third price Bel Air. This is coming in at just under $48, 3.13-inch blade. Yes, it's more of a modified sheep's foot than a modified Wharncliffe, but a little bit of time with a Dremel tool or some kind of grinding wheel or anything, and you could pretty much turn this blade into this blade shape if you want to. One could. Or you could just use the nice powerful sheep's foot blade here. I do say it's a modified sheep's foot because you do have a little hint of curve right there. Old school true sheep's foots would have a completely straight edge right there, but you've got that more blunted, abrupt tip right there. So it's less pointy, a little more sturdy than a similarly modified Wharncliffe such as on the Bel Air right there. But you have choices, like I said. I would be tempted just to take it to my knife grinder and go zip zop and make it pointy, but I'm weird like that. G10 for the handles. It's not quite as thin in the blade stock. It's not quite as slim or as refined in the handle thickness right there, but it's a third of the price as well. 3.1 ounces for the weight. Ceramic ball bearings. Action is very good. One of the only crossbar locks on the market that has an actual snappy feel to it. That's something that CJRB does really well, and that's a feeling you're not going to find. I can't think of any other manufacturer, quite honestly. Deep carry pocket clip, a few different colors and blade finishes. This is the stone washed RPM 9, which is a spray form steel, kind of bridging the gap between your traditional ingot steels and your high performance powder metallurgy steels like MagnaCut and others. So it's a really cool and interesting material that offers a good blend of durability and edge rehension, whatever that is. It cuts, and it keeps cutting for a while. There you go. Edge rehension? What even is that?
Translate error.
Edge rehension is not in our custom vocabulary on our computer there. Anyway, next up we have a new version of the Revel, a Ray Laconico design. This is from Artisan Cutlery, which is the more premium sister brand. It's essentially the parent brand of CJRB, but this is where their lineups get a little mixed up and confused feeling sometimes. This is an Artisan Cutlery because the original premium versions of this knife were Artisan Cutlery knives, but it's less expensive than this CJRB right now. So even though CJRB is like the budget sister brand, this knife right here is only $45. Bigger blade, but same blade steel, 3.54 with that RPM 9. Injection molded handles right here. This is the brown version. A couple different colors and flavors can be had right now. And it has a button lock compared to or contrasting to the frame lock versions of the premium Revel, which we have seen so far. Sorry, there you go. Operator error, no fault of the knife right here. We've also got just newer, simpler branding here, just says Artisan, as opposed to their previous logo right here. I'm wondering if they're making a shift to that. Full feel in the hand, yet a kind of refined feel in the hand. It's got a nice contour to it. The injection molding allows them to get that and get this nice fine texture on this faux inlay here without raising the price too much. Almost deep carry pocket clip, or almost true deep carry. It is reversible, which is good because that button lock is going to work nicely for lefties as well. Finger safe closing action, which that shares with the crossbar locking knives we just looked at. Yeah, pretty cool big clip point. If you like a little bit of style, but a lot of cutting potential in your everyday carry, this could be a good option. I could say the same thing over these next CJRBs, which are more expensive than that Artisan Cutlery right here. This is the Sasaya. It's sort of a sleekened take on the Schillen cutter style of blade, with this big broad leaf shape for the blade going on. And it comes in two tiers essentially. You've got the base level tier, This particular one coming in about $53, 3.5 inch RPM 9 blade steel. Nice thin blade stock with a full flat grind. Let me compare that to the Bel Air there. Yeah, they're about the same thinness there between the two. I don't have calipers here to really check it, but my micrometers say they're pretty darn close. So this is going to be another great slicing geometry here. We've got stainless steel bolsters and we've got G10 for the handles. Wood is also available, but it's not just a flat slab. You can see there's actually some flare. There's a little bit of contour to those inlays, which is really cool and really helps the knife feel great in the hand, especially when you choke back like this. And that's going to take advantage of this inherent kind of arc of the overall design and let you really bring that tip down, really use that tip effectively on surfaces and really cut into, you know, big stacks of stuff really effectively. I could see like going through a bunch of cardboard like this. The sound it makes, but just really reinforcing the aggressive angle of that blade. Very cool. $52. You've got the finger safe closing button lock right there. Works nice. You can reverse flick it thanks to the blade cutout right there. You've got a reversible pocket clip. Very cool. If you would rather go with a more premium variant, we have this, which is the full titanium version. It comes with an S35 VN blade, and the price on this is about $160. Same geometry, same handle shape. Well, actually slightly different handle shape, because on the base versions, you're transitioning from flat bolsters to that flared contour there at the back. You're not dealing with that on the titanium version. You've just got a full contour the whole way, front to back, which is nice. And it feels just as good. Really cool. Pocket clip here is milled as opposed to being deep carry. Just mixing things up a little bit for that one. Very cool. Next up, another impressively milled specimen. That's what I was known as in college.
No, you weren't.
Yes. Impressively doughy specimen, maybe. We have the mini Buckhorn from Karbon Knives. That's Karbon with a K. That's Ken Onion's newest brand. The standard version, the full-size version of this was about $270, came with a 3 3/4 inch blade. This is now a 1/2 inch shorter on the blade and correspondingly shorter on the handle. 3 1/4 inches, M390 as opposed to S35 VN. So shorter, but with greater edge retention than the original. So that's pretty interesting. $215 on this as opposed to $270 on the original as well. The handle has the same very cool shape, very complex milled patterning and dimensioning going on there. It's a word. You can trust me. I'm on the internet. I'm trustworthy. It's a cool knife. It's basically leek size now, Kershaw leek. In fact, actually, I should have one of these over here. I could check that. If I can pull out the right drawer.
Did you just label those things already?
So it's slightly smaller than the leek overall. Or sorry, slightly bigger than the leek overall, but it's kind of leek-esque in its shape and presentation. Yeah, another classic Ken Onion design after all. I don't know, do we have any of these KnifeCenter exclusive leeks still in stock? I will have to check. We do not. Apologies.
We'll just gloss over that part.
We have other leeks in stock though, if you'd rather not have that. But this is way more comfortable than a leek. I mean, everything here going on feels maybe not just as good as the full-size version, but it's only because I know how good the full-size version felt. Like, it was made to be that full-size originally, I would wager. Bringing it down means it's not as perfect ergonomically, but it's still pretty darn good in this case, I would say. Frame lock for your security. Nice, snappy action, thanks to the ball bearings there. Thumb studs work great. Yeah, angled thumb studs like on the Kershaw Bel Air. Another classic Ken Onion design. Milled pocket clip. Very cool contrasting milling patterns on each section. There's just so much to smile about with this knife. Check it out. More titanium, more titanium. We have the BIGiDESIGN Ti Pocket II, or Ti Pocket II frame lock flipper. Is that really the name? It's the Ti Pocket Knife 2. Second generation of their titanium pocket knife. $295 for this. You get a 3 1/4 inch M390 blade. Very clean drop point blade, meshing up with the very clean profile of the handle. The handle itself is a little more kind of rectangular in its presentation, but still holds in the hand pretty nicely. The edges themselves are all broken over in a very nice way, very comfortable way. And check it out. The pivot is the only visible fastener from the outside. Okay, I lied. There is the deep carry pocket clip being secured from the end here, but very, very clean from the front. That's a very nice svelte presentation as a result. Blade stock, not super thin, but thin enough. High enough flat grind that it's going to be slicey enough despite overall feeling like a harder use knife. It's not a true super hard use knife, but it bridges the gap into that realm really nicely without losing too much of that kind of everyday generic slicing that is going to be appreciated really well. Frame lock, super, super secure. And two methods of opening here. You've got the flipper tab here, very, again, rectangular in its presentation, and you have the thumb studs. Either one works quite nicely. If I were to change anything, I would honestly say delete the thumb stud. I don't think you need it, and it is kind of far out, the blade a little bit, kind of getting into the edge area a little more than I usually like. And the flipper tab itself works fine. So yeah, the thumb studs work great, but it would have been an even cleaner design without that, I would say. But it feels really cool, and you can check it out now too, if you wish. The bigger news now is we're also now carrying the new easy swap version of BIGidesign's TPT slide. Now the original TPT, and then even more so the TPT slide, has been very popular with folks who want a small compact utility blade holder that has a bit more of a premium feel. The one area, and I say this as an owner and frequent carrier of a TPT slide, actually, I have it in my pocket right now.
Of course he does.
The one area where the original TPT slide kind of bugs me a little bit, even though I do still carry mine pretty much every day, is the blade changes. You had to kind of get the blade out, twist and push in a kind of a particular way to get it to work. And while yes, you can get used to it, and some people will say, it's not a problem, I've gotten used to it. Yes, you can get used to it. It's still never been like the greatest experience. The easy swap here version of this eliminates that entirely. You've got this small titanium gate right here. Just pop it open, and the blade changes are super easy. It basically forces the two sides of the handles apart in the same way that they would be if you were doing the twist and pry method of previous versions of this. I think it's way safer if you're using actual blades in this, and just way easier overall. And I say if you're using actual blades, because it comes with these right here, which are unsharpened inserts that aren't going to cut like a blade, but they can get into packaging because you've got a hard, almost point right here. It can bust open boxes. I've even, just to see if I could do it with these, it'll even break open really tough blister packaging that you might find in a retail store. You have to kind of chew through it like you would a can, like a manual can opener, but it can be done. And that's a nice feature if you need to carry something in areas that might be more sensitive to actual bladed implements being carried. But it's not just a blade holder, I will say. You've got a bottle opener in this section right here. You've got, with these teeth, essentially a universal wrench. As long as you can fit the fastener inside these jaws, it stands a pretty good chance of being able to grip on it. It's not going to be your primary wrench, but it can work in a pinch, and it could work in concert with a set of pliers. If you need to hold something steady from the other side while twisting with pliers, it could do that. You've also got a pocket clip, which is removable. You've got a pry bar here at the end, which the edges here are a little softened, so it's not the most super effective pry bar, but it works. It works as a flathead, and you've even got a 1/4 inch bit driver here at the end. A lot of function in a very small footprint, which is, I think, why they've been so popular. The originals have been so popular up to now. These now come in at about 10 bucks more than the standard TPT slide. 9 bucks more, I should say. 89 bucks at this point in time. More titanium? More titanium?
Okay.
More titanium? Love more titanium. The Custom Knife Factory Peter Resenti Persian is in the building. $580 for this, and it is an integral titanium folder. So the whole handle, frame lock and everything is one piece. No seams, all milled out of a single chunk of titanium, gives it a ton of strength and rigidity, which means you can push this knife pretty hard if you want to. 3 3/4 inch M390 blade. M390 is not the toughest steel, but you do have a fair bit of blade stock thickness there to bring some strength back into the equation, kind of backing up that same feeling of strength you get from the titanium handle. Now you get contrasting finishes on the blade itself, and you almost get a compound radius grind. What do I mean by that? I'll tell you. Oh, well, you have the satin finish here on the flats, and the hollow grind has a dark stone-washed finish, but the hollow grind seems to get shallower out here near the tip. I may be imagining that, and maybe it's just an artifact of the fact that it's a trailing point blade like this, but yeah, it feels a little less hollow there at the tip. It's still a very fine tip, but I don't know what's going on there, but it's pretty interesting. Handle, stone washed, so it's already broken in. The only kind of concession to a little bit of extra bling, the pivot collar here on the front, which is Zirku tie and a Timascus pocket clip there on the back. No lanyard point. If you are the kind of folk who likes to put a lanyard on your knife, you're not going to be able to with this. But anyway, check it out. I haven't even flipped it open on camera yet. Let's do that. Flips very, very nicely. Everything Custom Knife Factory does is super well done, so that's no surprise. These right here, if you're a thumb stud sort of person, do not mistake these for thumb studs. Those are just going to work as the blade stop. They're not tall enough to really be able to catch your finger on it. You could probably do it if you're really thinking about it. That's going to be really tricky. And you're just going to get annoyed and flip it when you go to do that. One thing that makes me a little bit sad, and only because it's the only fixed blade on the table. It's a cool fixed blade. I just wish there were more fixed blades today.
I would have been here last week. We had lots of
I know, Seth took all the good fixed blades from last week away from me. This is the EOS Sandshark right here. It has got an AEBL blade. It's US made, 3.6, 3 5/8 of an inch on this modified Wharncliffe, even though the website calls it a modified sheepsfoot. I'd say that's pointy enough to not be a sheepsfoot anymore. AEBL is cool. It's probably is my favorite non-particle steel out there, non-particle stainless anyway. It's super, super tough. When done well, it can be tougher than stuff like MagnaCut even, which is renowned for its toughness. And gives it really high edge stability. While it may not hold it or have as much wear resistance, it can often hold a thinner edge quite a bit longer than you would think because it's so tough, which is a nice thing indeed. Dark stone-washed finish here, not too thick. You've got a saber height flat grind, so it's again bridging the gap a little bit between something that's a little more rough and tumble and how you can use it versus more slicey. The toughness of the AEBL there means you could probably push it a little further, and the geometry of this kind of leans into that a little bit. It's certainly going to be slicey enough for most day-to-day stuff though. Titanium handles with this antiqued bronze hardware, which is very cool. They call this antique titanium for the finish too. It almost looks like, why would they call it that? It almost, it doesn't look quite exactly like, but it calls to mind like old copper when it gets like that green tint. Maybe that's what they were kind of going for with this, because you've got hints of green and hints of gold on it as well, like with a tumbled finish going on. It's a really cool finish. I likes it. It comes with a Kydex sheath. Make sure I put it in the correct way. No belt or pocket attachment is provided. You'll have to kind of roll your own there. Let's check the library of attachments we have over here. If you have a small Tech Lock lying around, that won't fit it. Where's my other stuff? I've been gone for 2 weeks. What did he do with all my stuff? A tech lock won't quite fit it either. That's interesting. Would Civivi's T? I don't even think Civivi's T-clip would do the trick on there. I would go something with something like one of the longer old T-clips. Then that'd be the easiest thing I could recommend to get this working for you. So we've got a bunch of, or a handful at least, of some new EOS stuff. But I pulled 2 with that same antique green titanium handle because it's just eye-catching to me. This is the El Dorado. It is an automatic 3 1/4 inch drop point blade. We've got S35 VN steel, very darkened patinaed stone wash here for the blade finish. Has more of a gray as opposed to a silver character to it. Saber height flat grind, decently thin enough. Again, kind of a theme a little bit. Bridging the gap between sliciness and outright durability. Handles look awesome. You got gold or brass or copper colored inlays. Check out that pivot right there. That is a really cool piece of hardware indeed, almost like cruciform in its nature, which is very cool. Same thing on the back, but it is Torx adjustable, as you can see right there, so you don't need a special wrench despite the cool shape. Automatic action. Feels great. Feels pretty good in the hand too. Another handle design that allows you to cant the blade down and forward a little bit more, like that CJRB we looked at earlier. Lets you get nice and aggressive with your cutting motions for sure. One more cool automatic today, a quite expensive automatic. This is a Signature Series Glykon from Microtech, $1,950 right here, but look at it. I mean, the Glykon is just awesome. It's a cool firing mechanism right here. You can kind of operate it the same way you would pull on something like a crossbar lock. You can use 1, 2, or 3 control surfaces to get the job done. The blade here is a Baker Forge CopperMai Damascus, so that is actual copper in there. I'm going to assume, and this is an assumption on my part because we don't have it listed otherwise, that the steel itself on here is going to be a carbon steel or a non-stainless. It's an educated guess on my part. Apologies all around. Bayonet style blade, black hefted aluminum handles, rose gold PVD for the inlays and for the back spacer. Nice chunky pocket clip, which is usual for this knife. Actually, this looks a little bit different than most, or than others I've seen. I'm used to seeing, or I seem to remember these having the ball bearing here at the end. This one, instead of the ball bearing, it's omitted, and you get a slight angle in towards the handle there at the back. Can make it a little more sleek in use, I would guess. It's just great. It's just awesome, man. There you go. Check that out, if and you want to. How many trucks, Thomas?
1 and change.
And the final knife for today, another legendary name. We just had one right there with Tony Marfione with Microtech. Bob Terzola with this right here. This is the Sicilian from Fox Knives. It is a liner locking knife. You got a 3.5, 4-inch B-cut stainless steel blade. Price is about $148, made in Italy. It is, it's very Terzola-esque in its shape, which makes sense. He designed it, right? But it has, especially in the handle design, I would say like Terzola hallmarks, but it's less overtly tactical than many of Terzola's designs tend to trend toward. It's a little more polite in a way, EDC friendly, perhaps we could say. Yeah, it's pretty cool. B-cut steel is not a particle metal here, but we are seeing it in some more Italian knives. They're kind of bridging the gap between entry level stuff and the higher performance powder metal stuff. So keep that in mind when you're shopping. Handle is very comfortable. It's green micarta. It's a little bit on the thicker side. So if you're looking for like a super slim carry, this is not it, but it's a little bit thicker, a little bit contoured and neutral enough that it just fits, man. It's just really nice. Orange accents with the backspacer here and the ambidextrous thumb disc. Makes thumb flicking quite easy. Let's try. I haven't tried a reverse flick yet. And there's probably a reason for that. Thumb flick works great though. Liner lock for security, wire pocket clip, lanyard attachment point there at the back hidden, which is quite nice. Yeah, it's pretty cool. New take, new flavor of Bob T design that stands apart from some of his other stuff on the market currently. The Sicilian. Well, that's all we've got for right now, folks. No, it's not. I forgot this thing, which comes with the TPT slide. It's a little leather guy, and it comes with an extra one of those inserts. Black, though. Now that's all we've got for today.
Good job.
Let me know what you thought down in the comments. And of course, if you want to get your hands on any of these knives, check out the links in the description to take you to KnifeCenter.com. There's more fixed blades over there too. More than just we had on the table today. While you're over there, don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program or our new Sezzle payment options if you want to break up some of these more expensive knives into more manageable payment chunks. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.